Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Kit Room. Joining me in the Kit Room today, I'm delighted to welcome Bart from KASK. Thanks for coming, Bart.
Thank you for having us.
Now, we met about a year ago and at a trade fair, and I remember coming up to you saying, aren't you a cycling brand? What are you doing at a health and safety show? Tell us a little bit about KASK and their journey into health and safety from cycling.
Yeah, sure. So KASK started in 2004, where our owner, Angelo Gotti, started with doing a lot of R&D, and in 2006 they started with the cycling brand KASK. It took him about 2 years later to also venture into safety, because what KASK has been doing so far for 20 years, last year we had an anniversary, is to be a single-focused manufacturer to prevent traumatic brain injury, either in sports or either on any kind of traditional industry or construction site.
That's brilliant, because I watched the Olympics last summer. It seemed to me like every other cyclist was wearing one of your helmets. But it's interesting to hear that almost from the get-go, you've been dual purpose, but not only about sport, but industry as well, because there's principles about protecting people from brain injury.
Exactly. So the sole mission of our owners was and still is protecting everyone wherever they go. Either you're with your friends on a Sunday morning on your bike, or you go onto your construction site or industrial site, you need to be protected. In fact, it were his brothers who used to be in construction in the north of Italy, and no one was wearing a helmet at all. So he kind of asked, why are you not doing that? And that triggered him to come up with the best possible solution, comfort-wise and accessory-wise, and that's how KASK Safety grew.
Fantastic. Now, we've got 3 helmets in the range today. Talk us through the 3 different styles of helmet that we've got with us.
Yeah, sure. So the one, and that's still the legacy one from 2006, is what we call the SuperPlasma. As you see, I'd like to start off in explaining you a little bit about how we see head protection.
Yeah.
So if we take a KASK helmet, a very important aspect of it is that from inside in the interior, you will always see that we're not working with a classic suspension system, but we work what we call a 360 EPS, that's an high-density extended polystyrene inside, providing 360 protection all sides of your head. So just a little bit about the standards that go with our helmets. The traditional EN397 is what we call, let's say, the umbrella standard for everyone that's working in a construction site or any kind of industry, meaning that the main protection that will provide is from things falling on your head. Right. But what happens a lot is that people will fall, slip, or trip from medium heights, and that doesn't protect at all. So what we have in every helmet we have is the EN397 with always the clauses from the EN12492, which is mountaineering, inside our helmets to prevent exactly that. What we want is that people suffer from TBI, traumatic brain injuries, yes, when falling, slipping, or tripping. Fantastic.
So those standards are built in universally across the range?
They are built in across the range, absolutely. The only thing that prevents it from being absolutely both is that the retention strength of the chin strap needs to be just about twice as strong with the 12492. So there you need to make a choice. But as far as front and rear and lateral impact goes, every EN397 helmet will have the standards from the EN12492 built in for people that work in traditional construction and in industry sites.
Brilliant. So we've got 3 helmets in the range with us today. Take us from the basic through to the daddy.
Sure. I kind of took you to the basic SuperPlasma. I would like to go immediately to what we call, from the good, better, best standpoint, let's say the best, which is called the Zenith.
Good name for the best.
Zenith X actually. It used to be Zenith, now it's called Zenith X. What I propose and think that is the best way to make you explain to you what this is all about, if you try it on, and I will show you some features that will surprise you for sure.
No problem.
Okay. So what you will experience is that in the back you will have the ratchet system, which allows you to widen the circumference of the helmet.
Yeah.
But what you could do as well, and I invite you to do that, is to pull it down to make it fit exactly where you like it to fit.
Oh, actually really transforms the comfort.
Yeah.
As soon as that comes down, you feel much more supported.
Exactly. So it sits on what we call a weak mass, which will also prevent it from, If it's here, it's going to be a hard mass. It's going to be your skull. And then when you're wearing it 6 to 8 hours a day, it might cause some pressure points and irritation and so on. And the fact that you can really put it down where you like it will also make it stick behind a little bone here, what we call the occipital bone. It's like it's been there exactly for this purpose, making your helmet be very nicely tight on your head. Because we haven't talked about accessories yet, but imagine having earmuffs or having visors or full-face screens.
Yeah.
That will put extra weight on there. And if it all needs to be holding up by a chin strap or like a ratchet system, which is pretty high on your head, that's a big challenge. So we cover that as well with that.
Like the chin strap on this, it's leather?
It is eco leather, exactly, because we like animals.
Yeah.
We don't have a leather, but it's an eco leather.
Very
it's a small,
comfortable.
yeah, it's a small thing because if you take a look at like traditional chin straps, they're usually from some kind of fabric, which allows like dirt and moist and sweat and whatever entering that. And it gets dirty, it gets filthy, and it might cause some irritation in a while. So you can easily cleanse that because it's really smooth, silky eco leather.
Really? Well, it's incredibly comfortable. So that's the top, better, best, better.
Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
good, better,
No
best. So that's the good and the best.
Yeah.
What about the better?
Yeah, so it's actually the last one we got into our range. It's called the Primero. And the Primero kind of is a hybrid between what we call SuperPlasma and the Zenith X, which I presented before. It has all the features from a comfort standpoint. But what we actually did is to make this a little bit less, let's say, highly luxurious, because of course we need to be able to give people a choice budget-wise as well. So, but a very important thing is if you have like a crew that works either with Zenith or Primero, or you have both working with them, you can have every accessory that we have that will fit exactly the Primero and the Zenith. So you don't need to have a separate set of SKUs, stock keeping units. For all other accessories, they both fit on the helmets as we see them here, being the Primero or either the Zenith over there. So,
It's really good to have that broad range of SKUs as well. I use a SuperPlasma. This is mine here. But if you've got budget constraints, then you can find the helmet for you. But I think what would be really useful is in construction, say, or standard, is that this is the thing that people are used to seeing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The standard hard hat.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, and these obviously look so much better, but there's a functional difference as well. So it's not just about look. Can you talk us through that?
Exactly. So from a functional standpoint, what you will see if you take a look at a helmet like this, we try to develop all our helmets of, let's say, mimicking as much as possible the shape of a human skull, because every time, every millimeter you add in the back or you add in the front or the side is something that your entire structure from your neck down will need to compensate for as soon as you will tilt your body, your head, or whatever you're doing. So that is the first important thing. The second one is if you take a look at the way, and this is actually a technology which dates back to 1962.
Right.
This technology was actually about, let's say, distributing energy that comes from anything falling on your head. It says nothing about absorbing energy, and it says nothing about absorbing energy when you fall, slip, or trip, or whatever, and you hit either the front, either the rear, or the side of your head. There's no guarantees in this kind of head where they will be protected. And again, there's a big difference in redistributing energy or absorbing energy. And that comes also from cycling, where people need that energy to be absorbed when they fall at high speeds or moderate speeds.
So you can just see that. I think if we just point them both to the camera at the same
sure,
time,
absolutely, yeah.
Here and do it, we'll get a close up. But the difference between the construction on the inside of the KASK helmet to the 1960s technology.
So I will turn them around so you've seen exactly what the difference is all about. So and if you could just take this one out, probably, which is something I'd like to talk about as well.
Yep.
What you will see here now is that, of course, the 360 EPS or the classic distribution system, we're talking about a completely different kind of helmet.
Yeah, so this is going to absorb much more.
Absorption versus distribution, which is a completely different way of protecting people.
Fantastic. Now, you took something out of this helmet.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
Yeah, sure. And as you can see, it kind of clicked out pretty easily. Why is that? Well, we are human beings, so meaning if we are working, we're going to build up a sweat everywhere, but also on top of our skull. It's a pretty greasy skin on our skull.
Yeah.
So that goes into the helmet. not into the helmet, but what we call this kind of padding system. This kind of padding system will allow this helmet to sit really comfortable on your scalp, simply because you have a lot of contact points. It needs to be really soft, but it is material. It can be washed, but before it's washed, it can be taken out really easily. Not with Velcro, because if you take in Velcro, that will go out and in just like 5 times or something, and then the little glued-in dots will start coming off. You can no longer use your helmet. So from a life cycle standpoint from the helmet, we use this patented clicking system, which allows you to really easily reinsert this padding as soon as it has been washed, or if it's thrown out and you put in a new one.
Fantastic. Well, you've said it's easy, Bart, so why don't you show us just how easy it is?
You actually have 4 contact points. Let me just show that. It goes here, it goes here. Now you're holding it yourself. Here you go. We take the back. So I think I'm achieving this under half a minute. As you can see,
Brilliant.
Looks brand new.
So obviously you could have a couple of these. So if you're working in the summer, or you're getting a bit of a sweat on, you could swap it out at lunchtime, put a fresh one in.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, it can be washed as well with a mild detergent and low temperatures. No worries.
So that's standard in the helmet, but it makes me think about accessories. Now, when I've looked, everyone knows on the kit room who watches this regularly that I'm not particularly technical.
Okay.
But I do love a little bit of accessorization.
Yeah.
So how do we pimp our lid, if I can put it that way?
If you could allow me to just take this one out.
Yeah, of course.
I will walk you through some of our accessories, specifically the one that we think we stand out in in regards to the competition. So there's actually 3 things we need to know about accessories with KASK. And the first is that whatever accessory we put on needs to have the least impact possible on the basic balance and snug fit of the helmet on the head.
Okay.
So meaning that we are not going to, let's say, put anything on there that makes it look a lot or feel a lot wider or larger or bigger or whatever, because that would impact that balance and that snug fit, of course. The second one is that we want the people that use accessories to be able to mount them, to take them off or change them as fast as possible without a lot of knowledge or experience or skill to it. Because
You're talking to me then, isn't
yeah.
it?
But anyone, even you, Matt, you can make that happen after you try it on a few times.
Cool.
But the idea behind it is, if you make this complicated, people will be stressed because they need to have their job done.
Yeah.
So they will either not use it, which can cause a risk, or they can, I will put it on, but I'm not going to change it for anything else because now I need a full face, but I'm not going to do it because it takes me too long and I don't want to do it. So we made this as easy as possible. So on the Zenith, which I have here, and the Primero, which I showed you before, you will see that the accessories, and this is like, in this case, what we call just the Zen Visor, protects the eyes like safety glasses.
Yeah.
It's actually been you can take it off like this, and these are the adapters.
Simple.
Which will allow you to interchange any kind of face protection you need. Either the solar version, or let's say the mirror version or the smoke version. You can have a full face, you can have an arc flash, you can have a mesh visor for anything you do in forestry.
So once you've got these adapters on the side, this is really simple to interchange.
So imagine I'm taking a big screen now. It doesn't really matter if it's the same, but this is how easy you can just click that on.
Fantastic.
Now, you've noticed this headlamp.
Yeah, which is a big problem for most people going into confined space.
Exactly.
We train a lot of people in confined space, and there's always like, I'm knocking my light all the time.
Exactly. So as long as we use it and place it up here, which this little slot has been inserted into the design of the mold of the helmet, it will still allow you, when you're not really working with your visor, is to click that up, but still if your lamp there, it will not be in the way.
Brilliant.
So one more thing I'd like to explain is that these helmets, of course, are within, let's say, a higher budget range. And these helmets have a 3-year shelf life and a 3-year guarantee and a 10-year shelf life. But if you have a lot of things that could eventually, run out of use because they kind of get worn out or break off, because these little things eventually might, break
We
off.
have that all the time here.
Exactly.
And they're built into the integrity of the helmet.
Yeah.
And you're scrapping the entire helmet because one of these is broken.
You couldn't say it. I couldn't say it any better. So what we've done actually is to make these replaceable as well.
Great.
So all these little parts will make your helmet last, like I just said, the 3 years guarantee and the 10-year shelf life.
Brilliant stuff. Now, we've got another adaptation here,
Yeah.
Now, I've lived in Australia, and where they take sun protection really, really serious out there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm used to seeing this with corks dangling to
Yeah,
protect
okay.
you from flies, but
Yeah.
this is just attached really simply, isn't it?
Yes, so we talk about accessories, and these are accessories that come from, let's say, a protection standpoint. Things flying around, you don't want them to hit your face, so that is kind of what we call the protection from the EN 16321 standard. But of course, we have different weather circumstances. So we are in Blackpool as we speak.
Yeah.
You told about a storm coming in,
Yes.
and I'm going to talk to you about what we call a sombrero. So what is a sombrero? It's actually a very, very nice add-on. You can, put under these little clips, and that will allow you from not having the sun in your face when you're like standing up, whatever you are outside, goes for sun protection. I think more for these regions of the world, I'd like to talk about something else, and if you would just hand me over that one.
Yes.
Is what we call the winter padding. Now, I'm sure you've walked around job sites or construction sites and saw people in the winter either with a hoodie putting the hood on, or either with some kind of starter cap or a bonnet or whatever, and then having the traditional helmet
Yes.
with the suspension
Yes.
kind of like dangling on top of their head.
Yeah, no, it's rocking now because it's
Exactly,
not
without a
snug fit.
chin strap.
Yeah, yeah.
So imagine what happens if these people slip, fall, or trip. The helmet would most likely hit the floor before they do, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. So what we've done is, and I've showed you before the little clips, well, as soon as it goes really cold, what we do, and before I'm going to do it because it's going to look a little bit weird, to have a sombrero on here and together with winter padding. So I'm just going to take
It'll be
this
good
one
for
off.
snow protection.
It could also be for snow protection, yeah, for if you don't want the flakes to hit your face. So I'm going to take this one off and put it here for a while. And I'm just going to put this one in. So what we're going to do, and I also need to remove this one over here. So as you can see, the entire inner padding is taken out because we don't want to build up layers, which in the end will end up as well with a helmet which is just too high on your head. We just want that to be as close as possible still with all the comfort I just explained. So what we're going to do, we're going to insert this by using exactly the same little clips, the same little red dots, and I just need to widen this a little, like here. And then on the front, it goes exactly
All right, yeah.
where the sweatband used to be. So again, also washable, also replaceable as much as you like. And the beauty of it is, it's going to feel exactly the same, but it's going to be a lot warmer because it has a merino wool in a layer. So I'm just going to open it a little bit wider for you. And I invite you to use this again and then adjust it the way you like it. Here you go.
We'll give this one a go. It's a different helmet from what I wore last time.
So
I've got such a big head. Okay, it's like I've got my own snood
yeah,
going on in my head there.
so if I can just
Oh,
make
and
a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah,
It covers your ears as well.
Yeah,
That's fabulous. Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
I can see
so you
that.
can probably feel immediately the way you're insulated.
Yeah, I totally feel covered with my ears as well.
Yeah.
It's-
So from
Yeah.
sheer winds or anything that might distract you, because cold stress is a distractor on a job site.
Yeah.
And anyone who's like getting that chill is concerned about how they feel. Their focus is off whatever they're doing, and it might cause a hazardous situation. So yeah,
No, that's brilliant. Well, I won't do the chin strap on this one, but
you might need to adjust a little bit.
you
Yeah,
get-
exactly. So yeah,
You feel snug actually, and you feel, even though I haven't got the chin strap on, and I know I should, friends, before you put any comments at the bottom, but it doesn't feel like you were describing. It's going to fall off if I put my
yeah, exactly.
beanie
So,
on underneath
Yeah.
a traditional hat.
yes, true. Yeah.
That's brilliant, fantastic. And we've got one more attachment on this particular helmet as well.
Well, and this one, where the lamp goes, if you don't need a lamp, but sometimes people, when they enter job sites, they need to be identified really quickly. So we also made this small little, let's say, accessory that will allow you any kind of identification to be inserted here, and you can just stick it up there, and you can walk whatever you need to walk.
So you could be having your site pass on there. You could be having some emergency contact details in there, blood type,
Yep.
stuff like that. Really
Yep.
simple to use.
Yep.
Really simple accessory to use there.
Exactly.
But that's amazing. Thank you for bringing that. There's many more accessories I know you could have gone through
I
today.
didn't talk about earmuffs because, quite honestly, these are pretty universal and standard. Everyone does them. We do have the 30mm slot and will allow you to insert any kind of earmuff that you'd like to put on the helmet. Although strictly you should use a KASK one, which we have as well.
Yeah,
So.
well, that's really, no, that's good. That's good to know that you're not forcing somebody to use it if they've got their earmuffs already and they're just transforming to a new helmet. I'm sure after getting their helmet, they'll go straight to a KASK set of earmuffs as well. Well, Bart, thanks very much for going through all of those different options with us. I'm going to hand over to our Tom, who's going to tell you how you can get your hands on one of these amazing helmets.
Okay, thanks, Matt. So a couple of things to consider when buying KASK safety helmets. Keeping it really simple, we've got vented, non-vented, and arc protection incorporated into KASK safety helmets. As you can see, there's lots of colours available there as well. Another kind of bonus through KASK safety helmets is the logo customization. Now, for logo customization, useful probably for the larger sites out there, I believe the minimum order quantity is 40 helmets, so again, really kind of small quantities for what you could be potentially purchasing there. You can also buy direct through us as well in sort of like 1s and 2s also. We stock a variation of colours and models, as you can see here. So you can contact us directly on the contact details below, our equipment team there, or by all means, feel free to contact me directly and have that discussion on where you're using these helmets, what kind of helmet you need, what kind of EN standard it needs to meet, and we can take it from there.
Thanks, Tom. Well, once again, thanks for coming in, Bart. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
With the
Thank
beginning
you.
of our relationship with KASK, and we'll be promoting it very heavily on our website and socials. If you've liked today's episode of The Kit Room, please click like, and we'll see you next time on another episode of The Kit Room.